Yeah, so I work basically as a consultant. I have like a group of clients, and I help bring their projects to life. So what I want to talk about today is, this might be stuff that you're already doing or that you already know, but basically like really finessing your creative process so that your end piece, your work of art, becomes this like very deeply personal and meaningful thing. So you'll get what that means later on, because that's just kind of like bullshit at this point. Alright, so is everyone a pole dancer here?
Yeah, of course.
It's okay. Is anyone like...
No, but I know what it is. I've seen it.
Who's like an artist in like a different medium? Like, okay. Alright, cool. No, that's great. I just want to gauge the room. Okay, so question. How many people have gotten midway through like a choreography and then switched their songs like 2-3 times?
Yeah.
Alright, how many of you have like started out with prop, and it's like super cool, and then midway you're like, this is so stupid. This is like weird, this was out of place, what the fuck? Yeah, okay, so good. I was hoping everybody was else to go with this. But basically what that means is your execution is dictating your idea and your narrative. And you never want your execution to dictate your idea. And why? Great question. It's because your idea gives meaning to all of your executional choices. So if you go out there with like a fucking toy snake, like that toy snake has no meaning unless your concept gives it meaning, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that means. But yeah, so there's 2 parts of the creative kind of process. Idea, the ideation, the concept, kind of like the backstage, like not pretty stuff. And there's the execution, it's the outfit, the like, the glitter, the fucking whatever else you want to do. And props and the song and all this other stuff. So what we're going to be talking about is the ideation part. And there's a few touch points that I want to emphasize while we go through it. Okay, so the first step is obviously you get inspired. Like, where do you find your inspiration? Please. Just call it out.
Music.
Music, yes, perfect. You hear a song. Costume, yeah, music. This looks good.
A weird inborn sense of rebellion. Yeah. A desire to tear down the patriarchy.
I love that. Yeah, right? Like, you find a song. It's an event in your life. It's a topic that you're interested in. It's, something that, like, really sparks that, like, the je ne sais quoi inside. And so, the only thing that I will say, do not use Instagram for inspiration.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know it's really hard not to, because it's just so, like, visual fucking, like, all the time, and, like, how do you not subconsciously pull from that? But I worked in advertising. Instagram's 80% ads, right? Like, and there's this artist that does this thing. No, like, Instagram, your inspiration comes from, like, this divine source that comes from in here. And it does not come from the human ego. And that is, if there's anything that I want to say about tonight, is that.
I love it.
So find it within you. And like, you don't need to go to Instagram, because, like, chances are it's already there. Okay? But one of the biggest things, like, if you are having a hard time finding inspiration, I recommend writing. Like, and I honestly don't do it enough. Wake up every single morning, write 3 pages, write 2 pages, write a page. That, like, you go back to it like a month later, there's gold in there. Even if it's just like, oh, I just forgot to go to work. My fucking cramps. Like, there's something there. There are nuggets of gold. Just go back to it, reread it. Like, you're gonna, like, remember how you felt at that moment, and it's just, it's a whole snowball effect. Okay, So after you get inspired, you have your song or whatever else, engage with your inspiration. This one is really important. This is kind of like the research stage. This is the stage where you're constantly consuming. And what I recommend is, depending on, whatever your inspiration is or whatever like idea you have, research it, watch movies, go to the museum, like sit in front of a painting, cry about it. It's so good. And then, I have a whole list. Read stories, watch movies, read articles. I really love philosophical texts because I date a philosopher and he can explain everything to me. But I love like picking apart theories and, again, going to museums. One really awesome place where you can get inspiration is, or like engage with your inspiration is really great artists write manifestos. Like some of the best artists throughout history have, like, they are prolific writers. Some of their writing is even better than their art. And you will find a lot of stuff in there. And so, like, read it, ask questions, like, what does that mean? Or, like, why did they do it that way? Like, what does that mean in, like, a grand scheme of things? What does it mean in pertaining to my topic? And kind of engage with that. And again, write notes and write, like, your emotions, your feelings, everything that, like, you're bringing in, you have to get it out on the page. Again, this is a stage of consumption. So once you hit, like, the breaking point of, I can't look at that anymore, or, like, I can't read anymore, you want to nourish that creativity. And it's really, like, so, like, I'm explaining to you a process, but it's, like, you kind of have to trust it. You just gotta do it. Like, I can't really, like, describe it to you in any other way. I'm just giving you, like, the guidelines to it. But, oh yeah, when you engage with your inspiration, I wanted to go back real quick, because I have examples. And it was really hard for me, because I work with a lot of, like, fine art, like, artsy-fartsy, like, stupid, annoying people, but I was trying to find, like, a way to relate it back to pole, because very oftentimes it's like, oh, like, the song makes me feel really good, and I just want to dance to it, or, like, it reminds me of this thing, or, like, I can do a move to it really good, and it feels like the drop split. I don't do it, but I really want to.
You can fake it!
But yeah, so, like, Jen, for example, she has this awesome song that she wants to dance to, and it was, the lyrics went like, dress sexy at my funeral, my dear old wife. And we were talking about like, ooh, outfit, like, yeah, sexy. And then, like, hold on, let me think about it. So, like, reading throughout the lyrics, right, like, you put yourself in this place where you're, like, at a funeral, and this guy, he's singing to his wife, and he's telling her to dress sexy at his funeral. Like, what does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? Right? Like, and so we got to talking, and it's like, wow, it's really, like, the, roles are reversed, right? Like, the wife is kind of, like, in this exhibitionist position, right? Like, and, it kind of flips, and, like, it's maybe dressing sexy is like her way to like live a lively life, and really counter that, death aspect. And so that like opens up a whole new like plethora of ideas, right? Like maybe you started out with your song and you wanted to like wear a sexy outfit, but now like I want to put her in like a glass coffin and like do some fun stuff. But this kind of research and this kind of, like engaging with your inspiration, it'll give you these ideas that you would have never thought of before. And it's not like difficult, like it's time consuming for sure, but it's also fun, and like one little thing leads to two paths, and those two paths lead to three different ones, and it's like, oh my god, I want to do everything. Especially when you're stuck, like this is such a great way to like get out of that like little, ditch. And so afterwards, once you're done with that, like you have to counter all this like taking in and consumption. So what I love to do is nourish your creativity, and that is to do something completely different. Like go and forget everything that you just learned, because it's gonna like percolate, and it's gotta like have its own, you know, space to you really got to chew on it and let it digest, right? I'm not swallowing it. So what I recommend for nourishing your creativity is I love to take field trips, go somewhere new, do something you've never done before. There's this thing, it's called an artist date. So once a week you can take yourself out for an hour and do something really cool. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Just go do it. Like, do something. Like, I went and like played mini golf one time, and I don't ever care about that stuff. Like, it just like came out. But it's really good because the stuff that you're bringing in, like, there's a sense of outwardness when you kind of try something new and put yourself in an uncomfortable position, especially with pole. Like, you know I typically tend to like go to the same moves or like think about, you know, constructing choreography the same way, and so it could be a really interesting perspective. Yeah, you can do something nostalgic, like clean your workspace, you know, just whatever. Like, just do something that is not what you've been doing. And another thing that I really, really recommend is, and this is probably like one of the most important things you can do, is do not consume for like 2 days to a week. So no phone, no Instagram, no reading, like no like reading of words basically. And you let your brain just kind of like clear out, and you know, and then you can go back to it with a totally like different, you know, mindset. And so you can repeat, you know, engage your inspiration, clear it all out. Engage your inspiration, clear it all out. Like, you can keep doing that, and eventually you're gonna come to your you're gonna reach an insight. And an insight is like this, like, oh my God, yes, like that's that spark, and you will find it, I guarantee it. And if you don't, come find me. So basically what that is the insight is probably one of the most important things for your creative piece, because it is basically like, it's your compass that's going to make you stay true to your idea, right? Like, you have this idea. I know, like, sometimes a lot of artists come to me, and you know, it's usually because they've been on fucking Instagram, and and they're like, oh yeah, I have this like breakthrough, but then like I want to do this thing, and typically it's because everyone else is doing it, or because they like saw it and like they, you know, subconsciously they like think that that's the right thing to do, and it's like, well, no, what's your insight? Like, you worked really hard to get this insight. Like, let's bring it back, and you will know what that is. Like, yeah, so that is your big discovery. That's your compass. I wanted to talk I have another example. I have an example about insight. So I had a friend that came to me about 4 months ago, and he wanted to do a routine about depression. And so we were talking about it, and like after he did the whole process, he noticed that like in his own life, like depression manifested in a form of anger, right? So like, let's say you are doing a choreography to like some, you know, a depressive episode in your life or whatever it was, right? Like, your first immediate thing is like, oh, sadness, yeah, like, you know, your isolation and sadness and all this stuff, but like, he went a completely different route. And that would have never happened if he didn't like write about it and think about it and like go back to it, and it was like, holy shit. So you can imagine like a choreographed dance like would look very different with each direction. So just something to think about, because it can affect your choreography, it can affect like your outfit or the props you do, but really it's going to affect your deep down, and that is like where you're going to, you know, pull from. That's where your creativity comes from. Another example I had a friend come to me, and he wanted to do a music video, and like, he's like, I want to be like do a music video about being gay. And it's like, okay, cool, like, what do you want to do, bro? And he's like, oh my God, I want like rainbow flags and like all this stuff, and like, yeah, okay, great, that's fine. we can do that, but like, no shit, right? Like, you know, like, so does Bank of America that does It's true though, like, I have nothing against it. Like, I have rainbow shit too, it's totally fine. But like, you know, this is like a really deep thing for him, and it's like, well, you gotta invest the time in it to like come out with something else, right? So one of the things that we did is we read Michel Foucault, who is a philosopher, and we read about like the history of sexuality. And what we discovered was that actually, like, you know, homosexuality and all these different types of, you know, sexualities and sex itself was not really like a taboo, but it was actually like very much a part of like the scientific community. And it was talked about at length. Like, there's a bunch of discourse about it, which is insane. Like, I never knew that. I'm like, I'm learning something new. This is great. But yeah, like, people were put under the microscope, like, literally, in like, you know, scientific experiments and all this stuff. So we like ran with that idea. And so, you know, it's not pole related, but I thought that this was like a really good way to kind of, you know, if you are doing, let's say it was a pole routine, you can do some really cool fucking weird shit with like, you know, syringes and like wearing a, you know, a hospital gown or something like that, but that's another direction, right? Like, it's something that you haven't seen before. It's something that you can relate to your personal life. And yeah, just again, like the insight is always really important. It's going to take you places you didn't even know. Okay, cool. So, and I recommend like the engaging and the nourishing. You can do that and do that. You can do your like performance, come back to it and do it and do it and always refine. So after that, like once you have your insight, you can kind of like dip your toe into your execution. And so, you know, how does it feel differently from when, like, not having this kind of, you know, these guardrails that kind of help you navigate through your piece? Your piece probably will look very different and feel very different, which is good. And so, yeah, and really, like, once you try that, like, first part of your execution, go back, like refine a little bit more, think about it more. I mean, if it feels good, like run with it, keep going. But yeah, and so if it's not working out, what I like to do is to come back and kind of refine. And what I usually do is, can I like strip away more layers? Can I describe my idea in like one sentence? Like if someone's like, what's it about? Can you describe it in one sentence? Usually like that's really hard, right? Because you just want to, you know, talk about it. Yeah, like you really want to think about like what you're trying to say, and that's, you know, and it's okay to go back and like redo it and rethink it. Like that's gonna happen. And then, why does all of this matter? Like who cares? I care. Basically, what you know. You're putting so much work. Like what I love about pole is like it doesn't matter how like advanced you are, how beginner you are. Like you can do a routine that's gorgeous, that's beautiful. Beginner here speaking.
Shut up.
But you can totally like create something really beautiful without like, you know, being 10 years into the craft. And so why I think this stuff matters and why I think it's going to elevate your piece is because like it gives a lot of meaning to your work, and it's you're going to end up pulling from a lot of like personal experience and personal thought that you have that you probably didn't know you had, and that's going to like the audience will see that, and it's going to help you engage with them more. You know, a lot of times like it's totally fine if you just like want to go up there and like hump the floor.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like whatever, you could do that. You should do that. But like, you know, if you want to do something, think about it a little differently, and maybe this is like, I don't know, like a competition piece, or like it's part of like some show that like means a lot to you. Like maybe there's another way that you can approach that. And then, again, it makes it personal, it gives it depth, and it also gives you the confidence to kind of believe in your own work, in your own self. And that, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.